After 6 months on HRT, there are many changes that can and will happen. And after 6 months, those changes definitely become noticeable. So in this episode of Stacy Links Presents, I'm going to do my 6-month HRT long update and talk about all the changes that I've had. Stick around, I'll be right back. So welcome to my channel. I'm Stacy, and in this episode of Stacy Links Presents, I'm going to do my 6-month HRT update. I'm going to talk about all the changes that I've experienced in the last 6 months. July 12th marks the 6-month point of my HRT, and I have had many mental, emotional, and physical changes that I'm going to share with you today. So before I get started, what I'll get you to do, if you're new to this channel and you're a transgender person interested in fashion, makeup, and jewelry, be sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button. I have many videos on my channel with my makeup tips and my fashion and jewelry looks. I have several playlists that contain my makeup tutorials, my product reviews, and my closet segments I'm sure you would love to see. Plus, I'm doing advocacy for the LGBTQIA+ community and documenting my transition as a single parent. And be sure you're following me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on TikTok. Be sure to check the description in this video for all my social media links. Okay, so for the first half of this episode, I wanted to talk about mental and emotional changes that I've experienced. And now, one thing about that is mental and emotional changes usually start happening right away as soon as your estrogen level rises and testosterone goes down. So a couple things that I noticed when I first started on HRT is that I had a massive shot of euphoria, like a high that you just don't come down from. And the other thing I noticed is that it felt like a cloud or a veil was being lifted from my mind. And now at first it wasn't full, but it was definitely starting, and I could definitely notice more mental clarity. So then I started at 2 milligrams, and then I moved up in February to 3 and then to 4 at the end of February. And I noticed that my mind opened up even more and my creativity expanded. The only issue during that time was when I was at 3 milligrams, I was basically sitting on the threshold of level, and it was causing my acid reflux to act up again and caused me to have laryngitis for 6 weeks. It is definitely noticeable in my vlog episodes and any original videos that I have done for TikTok. So then I had my emotional expansion happen and my emotional awareness, and I began having extreme bouts of dysphoria. And it was all because of my testosterone spiking through March and April. My baseline I did on January 21st, and my testosterone was at 1.8 nanomoles per liter. I did my second blood test April 28th, and my testosterone result was 16.06. Now, come to reference that the low end of the scale for a cisgender man is 10 nanomoles per liter, so that means that my testosterone relapsed and my adrenal gland had other plans. So once I discovered what my testosterone was at, I had to take the Ciproterone again starting on May 3rd. So then after my 3rd doctor's appointment, my doctor authorized me to move up to 6 milligrams. The original plan was to go 10 days at 5 milligrams to use up the 10 1 milligram tablets I had, and then move up to 6. However, I had such emotional trauma during that time that I had to delay it 2 more days and cut one of my 2s in half and go 12 days before I could move up. During this time, I had a serious mental opening, and I started to gain new perspective on my life and the issues that I've been having. the problem finding work, trying to keep work, constantly being pushed out of the IT industry, and still not being able to find any sort of source of income. After moving to 6 milligrams, I had a little more emotional turmoil, but I have stabilized slightly. I have noticed recently some more emotional movement, especially stress with regards to my life, as I mentioned earlier. So hopefully at this point, things are going to stabilize for me, but really, you can never tell with dysphoria. It can hit you at any time. Alright, so on to the second part of this episode, where I'm going to talk about physical changes that I've had. So for the physical changes, I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. First thing that I've noticed is that my hair has gotten softer and is getting wavier, starting to get some curl to it. That's been happening for a while now, and I really like the way it's been turning out. I'm starting to notice that my face shape is getting rounder. I'll come up a little bit closer here. You would have seen that from the previous part, where I'm starting to get a little bit of roundness in my face here. One thing that hasn't really changed is my facial hair growth rate and thickness. It's still just as fast and just as thick as it's always been. It's possible it's been caused by my testosterone spike. That happened, as I mentioned earlier, but I'm still dealing with it, and I've decided to start using my IPL device on my facial hair. So, and I also noticed in this department here, my chest hairs are starting to thin out more. I've also been continuing to use my IPL device here and on my stomach hair. I can't really show too much. You can probably see here and from previous part of this episode. So I'm still dealing with that sort of thing. And now still in this area, I have noticed that there has been some breast growth. My left one is still trying to catch up, but my right one has definitely gotten lots of growth there. I'll get a little bit closer and you can see that here better. I have no forms on right now, so this is just my natural development that I have currently. And one thing that I've noticed as well, and I know that this is like a rarity with trans girls on hormones, but believe it or not, my nipples are getting bigger. My areolas are getting wider, and my nipples are actually just about twice their original size. So I'm definitely happy about that change. And I'm getting a little bit of jiggle in the back end here, just a little bit. Starting to pop out in the hips. My hips are starting to get from being a concave to actually starting to flatten out now. Eventually they will start to push out more. But I know that there's changes happening there. So, and the other thing that I noticed too is general body hair, arm hair, and my leg hairs are starting to thin out more. Hairs that are generally thinner on a cisgender woman. And now I still have to shave and I still have to trim my arm hairs. But I don't find I have to trim my arm hairs quite as often. They seem thinner than they used to be. And then that leads me into the next change that I've noticed is my skin has gotten much softer, especially my chest and my arms, my face, my hands, and it seems to be working its way down. My back has been really rough and dry up until recently. It's starting to clear finally, especially around in this area here, around my bra line. It gets really dry and itchy there sometimes, and it's starting to go away. And I've also noticed that my psoriasis is gone, because I was suffering from bad psoriasis on the backs of my hands, especially during the winter time. But it was lasting through. Last summer I had troubles with my hands getting all dry and psoriased, and it was hit and miss for the last number of months, and it slowly started to clear up. And another place that I'd suffered from psoriasis for a very long time is the back of my left knee. That is pretty much cleared up now, and there isn't even any scar tissue there anymore. So I'm definitely happy about those changes. I've noticed my lungs and my sinuses are softening up and getting easier to clear. my lungs aren't as tight as they used to be. Still a little bit of phlegm build up in there once in a while. It also doesn't help that I'm a candy smoker and a vapor. And last and most certainly not least, I wanted to talk about vocal palate changes. Now, estrogen does not change your voice. We have to modulate our voices manually. However, being on estrogen, especially after the first 6 months, will soften your vocal palate to the point where it's easier to stretch and manipulate. The other thing about that, though, is it is also easier to damage. So we have to be very careful in vocal training that we don't push our voices too hard. And especially for people like me who like to sing and are fairly good at it, at least I think so anyway. We like to try different music. Like, I'm wanting to try different music, so I've been trying to train my voice a little more and try and stretch it out in an upper range just to see what I can get into. Because I really love karaoke and I really like to sing for people, so we'll have to see what kind of changes happen in that department over the next few months. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below and drop a comment if you've been on HRT for any length of time. Tell me about some of the changes you've had that you really like about yourself. Make sure you come back for my next episode and I'll see you then. Bye!